Eve won the 2011 European Championships in Moscow, 2013 Worlds in Riga, the 2017 European Championships in Singapore, and the 2021 European Championships in Lillehammer. She is a 4-time World Junior Champion. She is a 4-time Olympian, having represented Great Britain in Vancouver, Sochi, Pyongyang, and of course Beijing, where she not only became Olympic champion, but was chosen as one of Great Britain's flag bearers at the opening ceremony. Eve has received an honorary doctorate from Stirling University, and both an MBE and an OBE for services to curling. She is also an accomplished bagpiper, and I know to my cost, having played against her, she plays golf to scratch. An amazing and inspiring life. And of course, she writes a weekly column for the Courier, which is just great. So please put your hands together to welcome the Dundee Sports Dinner's Eve Muirhead.
A real honour and a real privilege to be here in Dundee this evening and share my story with you. I'm always very passionate about sport, and I always will be. So this is a great cause this evening, and thank you for having me here. A little bit about myself. I was a full-time curler since I left school. 4-time Olympian, 3-time European champion, Olympic champion, 1-time Olympic bronze medalist, and 1-time world women's champion along with mixed doubles as well. But I was also a recent 1-time London Marathon finisher, which I would not recommend. So my key milestones within my career, it might be a little bit difficult to see there. But what kind of stands out is from about 2015 on to about 2021, I really didn't do very much in my career. I had a very successful junior career, moved through the ranks, and then it kind of dipped off a little bit. And there's a few reasons for that, which I will go into a little bit more. So throughout my journey as a full-time athlete and a curler, I believe there was 3 key milestones that shaped my career. Fearless, courage, and also mental health as well. I'm going to go into each one of them and explain a little bit more. So if I look at fearless, my own definition of fearless, not being afraid of losing and making mistakes. So I left school, and sport, it was my life. It was what I loved to do. I played a lot of golf, I played a lot of curling, so of course I didn't really have a lot going for me. I got the neck taken out of me a fair bit, but I look back now and I have absolutely no regrets that I stuck to my guns. There was times within sport and within PE that I lied that I forgot my PE kit because it just wasn't a cool thing to do, and I wanted to be part of the cool gang of the girls and not doing PE. I was lucky I had talent when I was younger. My dad was a curler, and I wanted to follow his footsteps, and he taught me a lot. But there was one time that he put it very real for me. When I was a junior, I kind of thought I was good enough. I thought that I didn't really need to listen to people, I didn't really need to get advice. And I remember after playing a junior tour, my dad pulled me aside, and he really did put it real. He told me I wasn't really supporting my team, which I look back and I absolutely wasn't. Whenever they had a missed shot, I would bang my brush and I would turn my back. And I just thought I was good enough. He helped me get back on track. There was a time I remember I was golfing and I came in with an NR. And let me tell you, I never ever NR'd again. And my first Winter Olympics was Vancouver 2010. I was just 19 years old. And one of the kind of fondest memories that I have of that Olympic Games was sneaking gin into Olympic Village. Within my team, I had 3 other girls that were a lot older than me, and back then we had very good intent. We were very inconsistent, but in my opinion, it was the wrong combination of players. I think if you look at a football team, for instance, if you were to put 11 strikers in the team, maybe on paper that looks like it's the best players within that team, but they're not the best. They're not the best players within that position. And the same within curling. Within the team in Vancouver, 3 of us were skips, and all of us wanted to be that leader. And I was named as the leader, the captain, the skip. So I'm trying to tell girls in their 40s what to do, and that made it very, very difficult. At major events, that's when mistakes are exposed a lot more. We did great on tour. As I say, we had a lot of very, very good intent. But when we were in that major environment, like the Olympic Games, that's when kind of little small flaws turned into massive flaws. And unfortunately, we came away with 7th place. But back then, I absolutely loved it. I loved every single minute of competing on the ice. I enjoyed every day. I had such a laugh. But what was probably most important back then was I was fearless. I really, really wasn't scared of making mistakes. I wasn't scared of trying any shot, and I just gave absolutely everything a go. If we move on to courage, how I see it is a strong discipline to learn from failure, but also believe in myself as well. So in 2012, I was very lucky to get the chance to go down to London to the Summer Olympic Games. And that was one time that I remember that was really the kick up the ass that I needed to train harder and to practice harder. I was seeing GB athletes on the podium, swimmers in the pool, an inch of fat on them, in the athletic stadium, seeing Jess Ennis on Super Saturday win that gold. And it was a real eye-opener for me, and I realised that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be that athlete on that podium with that medal around my neck. I slowly realised the leader that I wanted to be, and I broke down the sport of curling, how I was going to practice, how I was going to train, into a few key points. Technically, I wanted to be the most technically sound player there was. So within the curling programme, we adapted a kind of delivery assessment with a camera, with a plumb line, and we're talking like millimetres and inches where our shoulders are, our hips are. And I spent hours filming myself, looking back, and just going over and over that again. Tactically as well, I'm probably a little bit of a geek when it comes to that, but I spent hours watching footage of the opposition that I was going to play, but also as well looking at my own team, figuring out what their strengths were, also figuring out what my opposition's strengths and weaknesses are, to try and expose that when we came up to play against them. Physically, I wanted to be the fittest curler in the world, and I pushed all boundaries to do that. I hit the gym more times I was meant to. I always did that little bit more that was expected of me. And mentally as well, I believed if I was just 10 minutes later home that evening, and knowing I'd just thrown another 10 stones, knowing if I just did one more set in the gym, that also made me sleep a little bit easier at night, knowing you just push those boundaries that little bit more. Unfortunately, being skip or captain, there comes a lot of very, very tough conversations. And throughout my career, I've had to make quite a lot of them. We weren't long before we won the Olympic Games, and one of the girls within the team, she just wasn't playing great. And she was the loveliest girl, but unfortunately she just wasn't good enough. So of course myself, I had to go and sit down with her and explain to her that our Olympic dream was over. I went with my other teammates, and of course they were just sitting cracking themselves, saying absolutely nothing, and I'm doing all the dirty work. But that's what comes with it. We also had a coach. He coached us to winning the World Championship in 2013, and then our Olympic bronze medal in 2014. And I had to sit down and just explain that we were going to move on, we were going to get someone else. We needed some new blood within the team. He probably taught us all he could teach us. Again, I did all the dirty work. My dad coached me from a junior, and of course there came a time that I needed to move on from that. I had to tell my dad, and as you can imagine, lots of hands were flying around the kitchen, but yeah, we're speaking again now. I think as well, setting standards within the team was very important. A lot of the time I would always ask myself, like, would a gold medalist do that? 9 times out of 10 the answer was no, so I then had to change what I was doing or what I was thinking. And it's very, very hard to keep 4 girls happy. Of course, we've got to know when to switch on and off. We've got to know when to switch on, talk tactics, talk technical. But then, of course, we've got to know when to switch off as well, talk getting our hair done, talk getting our nails done. But within a lot of these conversations, friendships are made, friendships are lost. I always find it's very different between male and female when it comes to that. I find 2 guys can have a bit of a kind of set to, they can have a bit of a disagreement, say something that the other one doesn't really agree with, give some kind of feedback, and 10 minutes later they're best pals with a pint at the bar. But for girls, I find that very, very different. I think a lot of girls maybe take a lot more to heart, and that can solve in weeks, solve in months, solve in years, but sometimes it can never ever solve. Sochi 2014 was my second Winter Olympic Games, and we went into Sochi as favourites. We won the World Championships the year before in Latvia in 2013, and we really were the team going in on form. We came up against Canada in the semi-final, and at that point Canada were unbeaten up to that semi-final spot, and we lost. But we probably played the best game we had all week. And still to this day, it probably was the most devastating defeat of my career, because I realised my Olympic dream was over. And looking back, I always believed that a bronze medal has to be one of the hardest team medals to win. You're always going to be coming off the back of a defeat. You're always going to be coming out trying to play a game within 24 hours. I think we were 16 hours later, we had to come out and fight for that bronze medal. And we did, and we managed to win that bronze medal. On the back of winning that bronze medal, I definitely let too many people in. I think we all know if you're successful, everyone wants to be part of that team, and if you're not so successful, nobody wants anything to do with you. So winning that bronze medal, the first medal since Rona Martin in 2002, along with the men who also won a silver medal that year as well. Suddenly, everyone wanted to be part of the curling programme. They wanted to give us all the advice. They wanted to be associated with us. And that then brings me very, very nicely on to mental health. And how I see it is how we think, feel and behave through the ups and downs of life and professional sporting career. So I'd love to say that success was linear, but unfortunately it most definitely isn't. After winning the Worlds in 2013, getting our bronze medal in 2014, a spiral started in about 2017. At that point I was focusing very much on the very small 1%. If you can imagine a cake and the icing being that 1%, I forgot about the big 99%, the fundamentals, the most important parts. I was trying to do absolutely everything as well as I could and as perfect as I could. And if I take you to the world in 2017, it was in Beijing, China. We had a very up and down week. We had very, very tough games. We had some games that we won, which we really shouldn't have won. We were winning, but I was really punishing myself to be able to win. And somehow we came away with a bronze medal, having beaten Sweden in the bronze medal match. After that, we were sitting in a restaurant having a few drinks, and my phone goes up, and it's my coach, and he says, "Can you come to my bedroom?" And I said, "Okay, no problem." I was a bit confused. I was thinking, well, why are you not coming here and having a drink with us and celebrating? So off I went to meet him, and I walk into the room, and in front of me is my team coach, my head coach, performance director, and our psychologist at the time. And they were very, very honest with me. They basically told me that my leadership had completely gone. I wasn't leading the team, I wasn't supporting the team, and those 4 girls within that team were threatening to walk and not play together anymore because they just weren't enjoying it. There was a lot of trust, there wasn't any trust, there was a lot of blame, there was a lot of finger pointing. And the very small mistakes on the ice just escalated. These small molehills escalated into mountains, the slightest thing. I remember during one of the games I had an open draw for 2 points, anywhere in the rings. So I let go of the stone's coming down, and it just goes just to the back of the forefoot. That's the red bit we spoke about, and the red and green. So yeah, that's fine, 2 points on the board. The supers come over and great shot Eve, and I was like, that wasn't. And they're like, how come? I was like, well, it's heavy. And they're like, no, it wasn't. I said, yeah, it was. It was at the back of the forefoot. It was half a foot heavy. And I wanted to be absolutely perfect. I wanted to pinpoint absolutely everything. But I needed that feedback from my coaches, from my team, to remind me that I couldn't get complacent. I couldn't take things for granted. I needed to hear that honesty, and I needed to learn from it. Pyeongchang, we were lucky to be on that plane on the back of the world. But we were there, and we were really, really fighting that whole week. We ended up in the semi-final, absolutely thumped by Sweden. We then went into the bronze medal game, and I had a shot to win a bronze medal. I had a shot to win a bronze medal for Team GB, and it was a very makeable shot. I reckon I make it 99 times out of 100 in practice. And if there's any curlers in the room, it was basically a half stone on the intern. And I was sliding back down the ice to play this shot, and it was the first time that suddenly the house seemed a mile away. I felt like my legs weren't even connected to my body. I felt like my arms weren't even connected to me. And I missed it. I missed the shot. I felt like I'd let absolutely everybody down. My family were out there watching. My 2 brothers were competing in the men's team. My team felt like I'd let them down. I feel like I'd let absolutely everyone down. I came back from there, and I had some pretty serious hip surgery. There was times that I was lying in that hospital bed wondering whether I was ever going to step on the ice again. But this is the hard-hitting stuff. 2021 was the only qualifying event through the Worlds for the Beijing Winter Olympic Games. The year prior, the World was cancelled because of COVID, so it came down to this one World Championships. There was an Olympic qualifying event where 3 teams would qualify. I think it was about 6 weeks out of the Olympics, but Team GB had never been in that situation. So off we went to Calgary. So we were 5 weeks in a bubble. A room on our own, we were allowed 10 minutes a day to walk around the car park. I could see Starbucks across the parking lot, but you weren't allowed to go and get it, you had to get Deliveroo. Every meal out of a plastic tub, plastic cutlery, on my own, in my bedroom. That week was the first time I truly failed within my curling career. We failed to finish top 6, and we didn't qualify Team GB a spot at the Winter Olympic Games. I got home, and not one person spoke to me, apart from my family. I remember on the back of my Olympic bronze medal, my phone, it was almost dead half the time with my congratulations messages. There, I didn't have any. I felt like there was absolutely no options. I felt like there was no path. I felt like there was days I couldn't even go out my front door. I couldn't even put my bin out. It was a lesson that I really learned, that always pat someone in the back, win or lose. A message can go a long, long way. So 6 weeks later, they started to speak to me. They decided to have a review meeting. And it was a very tough review meeting. We were all in floods of tears. There was a lot of honesty said to us. And we walked away, and I walked away, and I didn't want to curl anymore. I wanted to hang up my shoes. So British curling then decided they were going to do a squad system. So the two top teams that were there at that time were more or less put into one team. So there was 9 players within that squad. 5 players would be heading to the Olympic qualifying event. There were just 3 teams out of 10 who get those last places. But what did this mean to the curling world? First time Team GB, Scotland, had never ever qualified a team for the Winter Olympic Games. A squad system. No other country do a squad system. So we had eyes on us that whole season. Each time you were in different combinations. One day you maybe be playing second, then you'd be playing lead, then you'd be playing with this person, then that person. And it was scary. It was very, very scary. But it was also a huge opportunity for everyone. It was a huge opportunity for everyone to get a chance to go to a qualifying event, to maybe get Team GB in your back, to maybe go to a Winter Olympic Games. So I took a little bit extra time off, and then I did. I confronted fear, and I went for it. But of course, behind every gold medal, there's always a story, isn't there? And within the squad, the new team was selected. We were given our positions. I was the skip. But I broke me as a leader down into three points. Myself, the team, and the environment that we were in. I focused a lot more on me, and I didn't worry so much about what everyone else was doing, what everyone else was thinking. In the past, it was always me who's got the brush bag, is there enough brush pads, who's driving to the airport, who's checking in the brush bag, have we got this, have we got that? But I decided I was just going to focus on myself. So I built a circle of trust around me. I had people that I knew trusted me, I trusted them. And I made sure and take that team on a journey. I made sure and be a leader for whatever occasion was put in front of me. I had a lot of empathy and a lot of care, and I also made my team feel amazing. No matter what, play a good shot, throw a bad shot, I made them feel amazing. The whole week of the Olympics, I made them feel like they were Olympic champions from the very first game. I decided I was going to exclude myself from all politics. We all know there's a lot of politics within sport. And being the leader, you're quite often asked, what do you think of that player? What do you think of this player? Do you think they should be in the team? Do you think they should be in the team? But I decided, whenever I was asked that, I was like, what did you have for dinner? Just completely changed the subject. My team, we all had a value, we all had a worth, and I made sure we were only as good as each other. We had a lot of very tough conversations, but we all respected each other. We all respected each other when we gave each other honest feedback. And the environment as well, we wanted to create a space that we were listened to, that we were respected. We're not perfect, we all make mistakes. And believe you me, throughout the week at the Olympics, I made a lot of mistakes. But I think most importantly, I led from that changing room. I wasn't scared of making mistakes. And most importantly, I enjoyed it as well.
And that laser focus. knee, close to the floor.
One, two, guys. Go forward. One, go loud, guys. Take it. Stop in.
Dots and Dove on the brush. It's their job to take care of it. Right, calling the line. She lands it. Shot, stone. 2 points will hang on the board for Great Britain. And it took 20 years since their last chance at a gold medal. Eve Muirhead, Vicky Wright, Jennifer Dundee.
I think through everyone's career, both personal and professional, there's always a few key points that stand out as defining milestones. And for me, it'd be the Olympic Games and life after the Olympic Games. For me, all 4 Olympic Games were very, very different. And if I was to describe each one just in one word, so 2010, I was definitely thrown in at the deep end. 14, we had a taste of success, but we didn't achieve our goal. 2018, failure. 2022, the Olympic gold medal. It's probably the most asked question that I get since retiring is, what am I doing? What am I doing after curling? And I'm entering the real world and leaving behind my sporting bubble that I've been very lucky to be part of for over 15 years. Of course, there's a lot of cool things that come with that, from an MBE and OBE, getting 3rd place at Sports Personality of the Year, and also speaking, commentating, sharing my story. But also what's very, very scary is embracing the unknown. It's learning to be structured again, and I feel like I'm starting at the beginning again. I realise there is a life out there, there's a life out with being an athlete, but it's finding that routine again. And I think it's the same for anyone. You leave uni, you go in a gap year, you start again, you start to see real new things within life. It is very, very scary not knowing what's ahead, but I love that change. I love that change within my life. But of course, it can be lonely at times, but it can also be very, very exciting at times. A couple of key learnings from my career: leadership and also performing under pressure, which I spoke a little bit about. I've learned how important it is in everyday life, the good and the bad, to lead, to trust people. Like you learn from both, the good and the bad. I've managed a lot of players, I've managed a lot of coaches throughout my career who are very, very different people. And I do believe that everybody is a leader. Everybody is a leader within their own roles, within their own jobs. But it's creating an environment that makes that journey smooth. But most importantly, not forgetting about yourself. Don't leave yourself behind on that journey. And how do you perform under pressure in everyday life? If I knew how to perform under pressure, I would tell everybody. But it's very, very difficult. And for me, I believe it's come with experience, it's come with playing things out, but most importantly, I think I learned through the squad system. Learning when to sit back and just watch things unfold. But then most importantly, learning when to kick on. Learning when to say what you should say. Learning not to say what you think. And not being scared of making mistakes. They all happen. The takeaways, that if I was a younger self, what I want to tell myself. And number 1 is setting goals and challenges. I like to be out of my comfort zone a lot of the time. As I said, I did the marathon. And for me, that was a goal that I wanted to set. I wanted a challenge. I've had goals and challenges from when I was a young kid to try and get into teams. And I'm not going to change that now. Like, once you're an athlete, I think you're always an athlete. Throw yourself at challenges that you normally wouldn't. And for me, that's speaking, like what I'm doing just now. Commentating, like that's different from me being on the other side of the camera. It's been a real eye-opener for myself, interviewing people, being on the other side, seeing what it takes to organise and sport and events. Because as an athlete, you definitely take that very, very for granted. Building that circle of trust around you and knowing who to let in at what time, I also think is really important. There was times within my career, as I said, I let far too many people in. There was times that I wanted people to come in, but they wouldn't come in. So it's choosing who you trust and who you believe in. And also not getting complacent. I had a time within my career, after winning my first Olympic medal, winning the world, that I thought I was good enough. I took everything for granted. And I focused too much on those tiny little 1%. So learn, listen, be patient, because really, you're never ever too good. Thank you.
Standing here, I'm going to ask you not to leave the stage quite yet, because there's something else we'd like to say to you. I'd like to invite Elaine to come up as well, because every year there's one athlete who wins, is awarded Dundee Sports Dinner International Sports Personality of the Year. And this year, you're not third in the sports personality. This year, you're first, because that award this year for the inspiration that you've been for us goes to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Eve Muirhead.
Thank you. I'm shocked. Very surprised. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. This area of the world is very special to me, having grown up in Blair Athol, doing a lot of my curling in Perth, and Dundee not far away. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Eve. And now for